The Kenny Bromwich. Here comes another one from Penrith.
Recording. Okay. Thankfully, we've not gone far. All right. So I'll just give an example of you meeting someone, you know, maybe reading a book, someone's book, a powerful author was maybe transformed your life, and then meeting them in real person. So when you see them online, you've attended their meetings, you've watched their messages, you've been on their YouTube channel, you have a connection to them. There are some people like that now that you have a connection with, isn't it? Some of you have connections with people that you have listened to, you admire them, you like their style, you like their vibe, you like the energy. You've not met them in person, but they've been a big blessing to you. Maybe they've been mentoring you from afar. You don't have contact with them physically, but you've attended all their meetings and you read their books, and you just have a strong connection with them. Every time you have an experience with them, that experience is encoded in your mind, all right, and tagged with value, and that value is important. If by any chance you sleep and you just get a phone call from that person, all right, it doesn't matter how tired you are, your brain will activate you up and get you up to take that phone call. Or if you just run into them at the conference or you meet them at the airport, something will, that experience will come back and you'll be triggered in, you know, to reach out to them. Okay, that's value target. It's a subconscious thing. You don't even have to think about it. So when people impact you in a particular way that's positive, subconsciously, the memory of that experience is kept, of course, in your hippocampus, which is part of the subconscious mind, or, you know, the part of the brain that encodes the subconscious mind where your memories are kept. But that memory, there are fragments of that memory that stays within your mind and primes you for the next action, for the next experience. So you're looking forward to the experience. It's like you watching football, waiting for the football. Maybe your football club or your team is in the final. You know the way you feel when you wake up in the morning, you know, today we're in the final. All right, you're looking for this, an anticipation. Your mind is already, you know, priming you for action. All right, that's what experiences do. Have you met women who have been betrayed before, or women who have been abused before by people that they love, or people that they trust, or people that they depend on? It screws them up in a way. It's still the same thing. What happens there is that it's value tagging. So that experience, that negative experience, is tagged in a way that leaves fragments in the mind, so that every subsequent experience, they are primed to put up a wall. They are primed to say, no, 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 no. You know, that kind of thing. And when it has its full expression, you call it post-traumatic stress. All right, you call, oh yeah, I'm reliving the past and past memories, past trauma, and all of those kind of things. All right. So, but where it really starts is from the mind. And I'm just trying to give you examples there of the different processes that happen in the mind, which can be, you know, potentially problematic. Am I communicating to someone here? Let me spotlight myself. I can't find, where am I? Can you guys see me? I can't even see myself. Where am I? Okay. I think I should spotlight myself for everyone.
We can see you, sir.
Okay. Because there's quite a number of people there. I just sort of lost myself. All right.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Sorry, my hair is rough. No baba. We're in lockdown. Waiting to cut my hair. Guys, okay. So back to the mind. I hope you're getting something. I hope you're getting something. I hope you're getting something. All right. So very important that you get that there, that the mind itself, the mind is so deep. And as I've said, we've got the conscious part of the mind, you've got the subconscious part of the mind. And what a lot of us do not realize is that subconscious part of the mind that actually controls a lot of the decisions that we make. Your life is a daily choice. Your life is a daily choice. You're making choices. You decided to be here today. You decided to be here today. You've made a choice to be here right now. And that choice may be something that may change your life significantly. And I hope so. I hope that this meeting will give you so much value that you go back and reflect on yourself and what you're feeding your mind and how you're, you know, dealing with your mind. Okay, now I'm now going to take a deep dive into a concept. Some of you are interested in neuroscience or science in general, or how the brain works. You'd have heard about this neuroplasticity, and you wonder, what has this got to do with leadership? It's got everything to do with leadership, and that's why I think that I'm going to spend some time today to talk about neuroplasticity. All right, and just hope that you guys would get value out of this. Okay. And so, as I said, for those who joined a bit later, I was talking about the connection between the brain and the mind, that the brain is a solid organ that's like the hardware, whereas the mind is the software. All right. And they are inseparable. So your mind walks through your brain, really. And so your self and identity, even though your identity, your sense of self, all right, is a concept of the mind, but it's encoded in your frontal lobe. So if a patient, or when I say patient, if anybody has their frontal lobe damage, like if you've known people who have had brain injuries from accidents or strokes, or they've had, usually from accidents, they damage their frontal lobe, they become disinhibited, they lose their sense of self, they don't even know themselves. All right. But that's actually because even though their mind wasn't damaged, the brain was damaged, so the mind can work. So you can't separate the two. Whereas you have people who don't have brain damage, will have a problem with their minds, like some of these kids with autism and kids with other developmental problems, will have relatively preserved structure, brain structure, but the mind doesn't work properly. So you cannot separate both technically. But so when I talk about neuroplasticity, I'm going to explain what that means. Okay, let me just type it out there for those who struggle to spell that word, or you're not familiar with that word. I'm just going to put it in the chat. Neuroplasticity. Who has heard about neuroplasticity before? Has anyone heard about this before? Or is anyone familiar with that term?
Yes.
Anyone? Anyone familiar with the term neuroplasticity? Someone saying yes. Was that? I'm not sure what that was. Alrighty. Okay. That word, I'll just break it down for you. Neuroplasticity. Neuro refers to, Gideon. Is that Gideon from Sydney? Gideon, is that you, Sydney?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Do you want to talk about neuroplasticity? Do you want to, what you know about it? Just anything?
Just briefly, it's good evening, House. It's
Hi.
briefly the tendency of the brain to return to, not to return to a limit once it's been stretched past a certain limit. So you think you can do something and you're able to do it, and it's that plasticity of the brain to something about stretching its limits.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's a very simplistic way of introducing it. And that's good enough. Okay, so that word neuroplasticity is taken from two words: neuro, which means the brain, and of course, as I said, I'll be using the word brain and mind interchangeably. So you just take that neuro, and then there's plasticity. Plasticity is taken from the word plastic, and when we use the word plastic, we mean something that is malleable, something that is bendable, something that is twistable, something that can be changed. All right, so it's not fixed. So a lot of us feel that our brains and our minds are fixed. This is the way I am. Have you had arguments between couples? Oh, you cannot change me. This is the way I am. Oh, you cannot really change me. This is it. Take me as I am. All right. And you had those kind of arguments. All right. But the reality is that people change. All right. The brain can change, the mind can change. It's always been the opinion, our thoughts that, oh, no, 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 no. Once you are born like this, you're set in your ways. Yes, Grace Oye says, heard about it from Carolyn Leaf. Yes, Carolyn Leaf, an amazing woman. Grace Oye, is this Grace Oye? I don't know where there's this. Grace Oye, the same. I don't know what Grace Oye is. Grace, have we spoken before, Grace Oye?
No, we haven't. Hi, Doc.
Hi, hi. Oh, hi. Okay. All right, thanks. So yeah, Carolyn Leaf, yeah, I follow her. She's an amazing Christian psychologist and psychotherapist. Now, so as I was saying, a lot of us think that our brains and our minds are sort of set and they're fixed and they're not changed and cannot be changed, cannot be turned around. No, well, that's not true. So the brain is certainly very flexible, all right, and plastic in its way. So the neuroplasticity speaks to the incredible ability of the brain to grow and change throughout life. We already know that the brain develops significantly from the age of 0 to the age of 21. The brain is constantly developing. We know that, and it's developing in different ways. Number one, new brain cells are being formed. New brain cells are being formed. So every time a child has a new experience, you have new brain cells being formed. All right, and that's part of the way the brain changes. All right. Not only that, we know that even the established networks get stronger, they get better, they get more robust. So we know that neuroplasticity occurs in the brains of children, teenagers, adolescents, and young adults. So we know that, all right. So in the past, people thought that from the age of 18, the brain is permanently formed. That's why most people, that's why most countries have the age of 18 as that, limit of, maturity. So if someone commits a crime under the age of 18, they are treated as minors. They may still go to jail, but it'll be in a different kind of jail, and they would have a different sort of standards. But if you commit a crime, especially if it's a violent crime after the age of 18, they'll be, they'll be dealt with like an adult. We know that the brain continues to develop until the age of 20, 25. And now we understand that even the brain itself continues to change even after the age of 25, up to the age of 65. So the brain has the inherent capacity to keep improving itself, keep growing. And so today I'll be talking about how you can actually enhance neuroplasticity. Why is neuroplasticity important? It's important because it helps the brain to adapt to change. So if you want to learn a new habit, if you want to learn a new skill, if you want to start a new project, if you want to start something new, or you want to reinforce something that you're already doing in a deeper way, or you want to become an expert at something that you're just average on, you would really need to be able to stretch your brain. Okay, you will really need to be able to stretch your brain. And a lot of the things that some of you are doing already, you're stretching your brain. All right, repetitive reading, for example, you've heard the word repetition enhances retention. That is part of neuroplasticity. When you read something over and over and over again, you become an expert at it. I used to wonder when I was in medical school, it was a particular course, we had a lecturer who would come. He had no slides, he had no textbook, he had nothing. He would just come and start dictating and start talking and talking and talking. And you would write and write, and none of us could keep up with this guy. This guy was just profoundly intelligent. He was our lecturer, and he lectured us in hematology. And I just used to admire him. One day I just thought, it was the day he told us that he had been lecturing the same class. He has been teaching the same subject for almost 20 years. That I now understood why. That, listen, if I apply myself the way he applies himself, and I teach the same subject every year for 20 years, I will be an expert. I will be an expert in that area. I will be able to know my script. All right. Some people will not bother. Some people are lazy enough. They will not bother. They just put up the slides and they just do their thing. But I think he just was committed to that, and he knew exactly what he needed to say. Okay. So the reality is that when you want to form a new habit, for example, and you apply yourself to it, and you are consistent in your application, you are changing your brain. You're actually enhancing neuroplasticity. And if you're going to be an effective leader, we need to use these principles, all right, that we now know are very effective, and bring it into leadership, bring it into not just leadership. I'm talking about self-leadership, because leadership starts from self-leadership. Self-leadership, that means in your own decision-making, your own daily decision-making, you're applying these principles into your life, all right, so that you can become a much more balanced person, and you can become much more influential. So I hope I'm making sense to you guys. So I'm talking about neuroplasticity. So what are the areas, what are the things that can really enhance your ability to what are the factors that can enhance neuroplasticity? That means factors that can enhance the richness of your brain and your mind, that can help you expand, or in the words of Gideon, stretch your brain, stretch your mind, so that you can adapt, you can become more resilient, you can learn things faster, you can learn new things, you can thrive in new areas, you can start new projects, you can improve even in what you're doing at the moment. Those are all the potential benefits of neuroplasticity. So I'm going to talk about three important factors that can enhance neuroplasticity. All right. Number one is an environment. Number two, experiences. Number three, effort. Environment, experience, effort. Environment, experience, effort. The environment is really important. All right. The kind of environment you have, is very important, because your brain is an expert organ, a very intelligent organ in getting information. All right, just the way you're wherever you are, and I can see most of you guys, you've got your cameras turned off. Let me see, do I have anyone there with their cameras on? Most of you have your cameras turned off, so I can't really see what you guys are doing. But just imagine that someone has turned on the camera. Oh, we've got Tosin. Okay, Tosin, you're walking, you're outdoors. Now, if you just take you right now where you are, I don't know where you are, what part of the world, but I can just imagine that your brain is exposed to so many information at the same time. You've got a pair of spectacles on, glasses on, so the pressure of the spectacles is actually on your face, so your brain is feeling the weight of that. You've got an earpiece on, so the weight of that is also being felt by your brain. I'm sure you've got a jumper, you're walking, all right, and the breeze is probably blowing to your face as well, and you're listening to me at the same time and watching me at the same time and walking at the same time, all right, and you're still looking at the road. Sometimes somebody will say that's multitasking and all that, but the reality is that your brain is exposed to so much, so many so many sensory impulses all the time. All right, so our brains are exposed to the environment, and the performance of your brain and the performance of your mind to a large extent is determined by the kind of environment you're exposed to. So do you know that if you grew up bilingual, or multilingual, if you had more than two languages, once you stop using one of the languages, you will lose them? Do you realize that? Once you stop using one of the languages that you just lose them. And that's true. All right. But if you're in an environment where a language, I've got a 5-year-old who talks like anything. All right. And for those of you who are living, I don't know, depending on where you live, your kids will just naturally pick up the accent that they're exposed to, whether in school or their friends and all that. They are not taught. They just pick it up. They just pick up the intonations, the emphases, and the Australian accent, for example, has when we pronounce words, or when they, because I don't have an Australian accent, I sometimes try, but I don't have it. But when they pronounce words, the accent goes up, hello, mate. It goes, if those were Australians, what I'm talking about. It's a bit different because the British accent is different, the American accent is different. And if you've got kids in any of those countries, you don't struggle. Like, I never had to sit down with my kids to say, talk like this. Okay, they correct me now. My 10-year-old corrects me all the time that you don't pronounce it that way. I don't care. You know what? The other day I wanted to call a guy whose name was Bo, B-E-A-U. I don't know why you call your name Bo, all right? I just said, beautiful. I just said Mr. Bew. And myself was like, no, it's Bo. Oh, it's Bo. Well, if it's Bo, why not just say B-O-W, Bo, or B-O, Bo? Okay, all right, and that's Bo, all right, but B-E-A-U sounds like, oh, beautiful, okay, all right. So the reality is that just by exposure, your mind picks it up. Ayo Labi, we don't understand the Aussie accent in New Zealand. Yes, I know. Same thing. The Kiwi accent is also a bit different, isn't it? The Kiwi accent is different. All right. But the reality is that, when you're multilingual, or when you have exposed to different languages, if you stop using those languages, the representations of those languages in the brain starts to shrink. And your ability to use that would because the space that it occupies in your brain just starts to shrink over time. All right. And the reverse is the case. If you're going to learn a new language, it takes a lot of, learning a language is one of probably the hardest thing to do once you're much older, because the attention intense activity that it requires of the brain it takes a lot of effort from the brain to actually, learn a new language. And so you have to be in that environment. Imagine learning a new language and not being exposed to the language. I know some people who want to learn a new language and they go watch online, they watch YouTube videos, but you're not in an environment where they're speaking the language. You're not there. They're not saying it to you. My brother lives in Italy, all right? And in fact, I just got a missed call from him now. My brother lives in Italy. And I remember in 2014 or 15, I went with my mom. We went there and we went to Palermo. I went to a conference, so he came with me. My mom was with us as well. And we were in Palermo, driving from the airport to the hotel in Sicily. And my brother speaks fluent Italian. All right. Now, we both left Nigeria, I think the same month. All right. About how many years ago now? Gosh, maybe 13, 14 years ago. We both left at the same time. I left like 2 or 3 weeks before he left. I came to Australia. He went from Nigeria. He went to Italy. All right. But of course, the language is Italian and he had to study. In fact, at that time, he had just finished his secondary school. All right. So he was much younger. I had finished med school, so I was much older than him. All right. So he had to go to college there. He had to learn the language. He had to just adapt and everything. So to see my brother in a restaurant, all right, speaking Italian, all right, I could not imagine like this being guy, like this is, you know, I've not seen him for a long time. All right. And in 2014, about how many years is that? 7, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever. I flew to Italy and then we caught up, you know, and you just see him speak Italian. Of course, he would, I'm sure he would have the accent, you know, his Italian would still have the accent. So the Italians would know that this one is not born here. But to me, everything was all the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? But of course, that was possible because he was living there and that was the language everybody speaks. So you get out of your house, that's the language your neighbor speaks, that's the language everybody speaks. That environment, that culture, okay, is, you know, builds it. So you're not just reading on a book about a language, you're not just watching a video about a language, you are also surrounded. Listen to me. If you're going to expand your leadership capability in whatever area, whether it's in self-leadership, in thought leadership, in whatever area of leadership, you've got to put yourself in an environment where you're hearing the same, like an echo chamber, not in an echo chamber where you're only hearing one thing, all right, you still want the divergence of opinion, but you have to be surrounded by people who feel what you feel, who are passionate about what you're passionate about. If you're interested, for example, in parenting, you have a call to be a parenting coach or to help teenage boys or teenage girls. You've got to be in groups of other people who are passionate about the same thing, who say the same language, who will connect with you at that level. Am I speaking to someone? Am I communicating with someone? You've got to do that. If you don't do that, what will happen is that you will be frustrated. If you don't do that, you'll be frustrated, okay? If you don't do that, you will be. And not only that, you would realize that you will not really, you know, your environment matters a lot. So if there's anything you need to start taking audit of now is your environment, your ambience. Do you know last year I did an audit of my phone call. I took my phone bill, my phone records, and I did an audit of all the phone calls I did for the whole year. You know, I took month by month. I took 12 months. It took me like 1 or 2 hours to do. And I wanted to audit who are the top 5 people I call every month. Of course, my wife was number 1. If it wasn't my wife, then we're in trouble. Okay. So my wife was number 1. All right. Number 2 was my mentor. Number 3 was my very good friend, Tammy Kundayo. All right. So I realized that, okay, yeah, because you see, the top 5 people you call that you spend time with will determine to a large extent, you know, the kind of person you will turn out to be. Your environment is really important. All right. And so very important for you to understand that I don't want to spend too much time to that. So our brains and our minds are shaped by environment. Oh yeah, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, I'll let whatever, you know, music, whatever, you know, whatever garbage comes there, whatever, anything that I hear, I just let it come. No. Now, am I saying you shouldn't be open to different ideas? Absolutely. All right. Before joining this call, I just watched my dearly beloved Panthers. For those who are in Sydney, the parent Panthers. All right. The NRL, the National Rugby League. I've just watched a rugby match. Okay. And my Panthers are in the grand final. We're going to, you know, deal with the Rabbitohs next week, Sunday or Monday or Saturday, whenever. All right. I love sports. I also follow Manchester City Football Club. Tonight, 9:30 Sydney time, we're playing Chelsea. I'm going to be watching that live. And tomorrow I'll still be in church. All right. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot be broad. You can be broad. If you know how many documentaries today, in the last 24 hours, I just stumbled on a crime channel on YouTube. I have watched maybe about 10 videos in the last 24 hours on crimes, husband killing their wives, wives killing their husband. My wife even walked into me and was like, hey, what is this one that you're watching about, you know, husband killing wives and all that? You know what? I'm just interested in all these American stories, you know, I just watch and expose my mind to what's going on in the world. So I'm not saying you shouldn't expose yourself, but you've got to be very careful about what you allow to stay there. Do you understand? You've got to be very selective. Your diet has to be selective. The kind of books, the kind of people, the environment, the people that you allow to influence you, because this is a subconscious process. Do you know, have you wondered that people will stay under the influence of a particular person after a while starts to talk like that person? Have you wondered that? Well, I attend the church, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and I noticed that there are a few people who speak like the general overseer of the church. Oluwatos is saying, as a Chelsea fan, we're winning. I'm going to take you out of this call now. I'm going to take Oluwatos out of this call now. Sorry, I was checking. All right, but have you noticed? Osas, thanks. Osas says yes. Have you noticed that? Or have you noticed that some people will say that husbands are now looking like their wives, and wives, you marry a girl and then very soon they said you guys start to look alike. Or maybe not, that's more even more of perception, but talk alike. The reality is that when you're under the impartation and administration of somebody, all right, you see them over and over and over again at the subconscious level. Plasticity starts to take place both in the brain and in the mind, that you may start to mimic them without knowing. When I was on campus, we had for those who are from Nigeria, I know that we may have a global audience here. I can see the names are quite a number of Nigerians here, but I really apologize. I'm using Nigerian examples, even though I'm on Australia. So Ayolabi Martins, you're Nigerian now, even though you are in New Zealand. Well, non-Nigerians here, I apologize to all of you, okay? But I remember there was this particular fellowship, and I was actually a member of the fellowship. I was actually one of the leaders in the fellowship. It's called Deeper Life Campus Fellowship, all right? And I remember that, people, most of our members were talking like the leader of the church, all right? The Lord will bless you in Jesus' name. And I never wanted to. I, in fact, deliberately decided not to, all right? Yes, I was in Deeper Life for 5 years, all right, but I wasn't like born and bred in the church, but I was in the campus fellowship. I know I'm going to talk like me, all right. I'm going to talk like me, all right. I was intentional about that, but if you're not, you'll come there and you would exactly speak like the person that you're being blessed by, and because you open up your heart at the subconscious level. It happens. It's not because you're intentionally copying the person. You don't have to copy them. Do you understand? You don't have to copy them. You start to talk like them. You start to do your things like them. This is very important. So you must make sure that you control the kind of environment that you have. All right. The other thing I'll talk about experiences. Of course, the environment to a large extent determine the kind of experiences you have. All right. The kind of environment you allow your mind and your to be exposed to, all the things. I can't start going through all sensory experiences now, but let's just talk about the basic experiences, the things you read, the books you read, the materials you consume. And I'm saying be broad, as I've given you an example. You see, let me tell you, one of the biggest problem with the church, for those who are Christians today, in leadership, for example, is that we have a lot of leaders who are very, very narrow. We have a lot of leaders who are very narrow. I still have leaders who send me messages asking me about COVID-19 vaccine. They are the ones. I've got people who are so-called pastors who are asking me about COVID-19 vaccination. If you are here, I'm going to remove you out. Don't come and ask me about COVID-19 vaccination. Is it 666? Absolute ignorance. All right. People are not broad. You should be, as a leader, you should be broad-minded. You should be open-minded. Open-mindedness is not compromise. Open-mindedness is not compromise. How can we affect our world when we are not open-minded and broad in our thinking in terms of what we consume? All right. And I'm not saying, you see, you've got to, we've got to have a delicate line here. It's a thin line. I'm not saying don't expose yourself, but make sure that even when you expose yourself, you don't cross any lines and you don't over-consume something. A lot of people think, oh, it's only scripture, 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 scripture. It's not just only scripture. I'm a physician today. You can see all the kind of books that I have there. Now, do you think it's scripture if I go to work on Monday? I was in a ward round today, this morning. All right. I was in the hospital. I was on call overnight. I went to see patients this morning. You think it was scripture I was quoting today? Was it scripture that I was quoting today? Absolutely not. My craft. So I have to learn, I have to read, I have to be broad, I have to read a bit of politics, I have to learn a bit of business, I have to learn about IT, I have to learn about email marketing, I have to learn about media, how social media works, how email marketing. Do you know what I've been doing today? I spent about 4 hours on my website because I refused to give my website ad now. So I update my website. So I had to learn about, updating websites. You know how many times I've gone to YouTube? In our church, I do our church videos. I do video editing. I'm telling you, I work with Adobe Premiere Pro and I do video editing. I was self-taught, all right? And I went online and I learned about it, skills share, YouTube, learn, be open. So, but yes, I'm a believer, I'm a spirit-filled, tongue-speaking, devil-binding believer, but you don't even know what's going on. No, you don't know the latest news. You don't know what's going on in American politics, in the Middle East politics. You don't know anything. All right? The only thing you know is cryptocurrency. Anything that will give you money. Even at least we thank God for your life that you know about cryptocurrency. Do you understand what I'm saying? Be broad, a bit of sports, news, current affairs, know what's going on. All right. because all of those things help. How can you give examples? I give this example of somebody who was, was a Bible study in Australia. All right, Bible study. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm using the Bible references, but if you're not a Christian, I don't apologize really, but I feel for you, to be honest. But let me just move on. So it was a Bible study class, and this person was going to give an example. Was the Bible study was on about hell. Hell is so difficult to talk about in Bible study. So he was going to give an example about somebody. I think the scripture was about the rich man and Lazarus. And then he said, the guy said, the example he gave, listen to the example, guys. Listen, guess what? It was in our church, and we had a guest minister that day. And I'd been telling the guest minister how we've been trying to make our church a little bit much more contemporary, open, and all that. So this man would talk. I hope he's not here, but if you are here, I'm sorry, my brother. We'll fix it later. But I have to give this man, now that I've started, I have to give it. Do you know what he said? He said, he was trying to give the example of the rich man Lazarus that, Mike Adenuga, I'm not sure what those of you are Nigerians here, Mike Adenuga, the founder of Globacom, whatever. His mom just died somewhere in Western Nigeria. He called the name of the village or the town, Ijebu-Ode. Now, a lot of our young people in the church were just like, even my own son, was around going like, what? Listen, how far away is West Africa, Nigeria from Australia that you want to give an example and you go there? Why won't you lose people? We will lose people. Do you know the reason why you can't give examples that are relevant to people here? Because you don't engage. Because your life is triangular. You go to church, you go to this, you go to that. You don't engage with society. You don't expose yourself to society. You don't see what's going on in your environment. You've got to know what's going on. How can you actually impact other people if you don't know what's going on? So exposure, really, really key. Okay, let me move on from there now. Okay, now, there was this in London, for those of you who are living in London, if you're living in London, give me a thumbs up. Let me just acknowledge you. If you live in the UK or, London, I'll acknowledge you. But now, thank you, Kemisola. Who are the other Londoners who are here? All right, well, we've got a Londoner, Kemisola, thanks. Now, I was in London. I was in London for our 10th wedding anniversary. I think about 2 or 3 years ago. My wife and I went. We only spent like 5 days in London. We went to London, Amsterdam, and then I went to Manchester to watch a Manchester derby, Manchester City and Manchester United live at the, but we lost that game. Manchester United beat us. Grace, great. So there's this black cabs. We all know the black cabs. I was reading about the black cabs, how, the black cabs, London is so complicated a city. Now, when I mean complicated now, I still prefer London to New York. For those New Yorkers, I apologize. I've been to New York a few times. Oh gosh. All right. That's a different thing. Okay. We're not comparing cities now. I know you guys are better than us. Sydney, we're like a village. I know that. Okay. So I apologize. But London is just so, I love London, the majesty and, all the things you see there, very complex in terms of navigation. But you see that these black cab taxi drivers know everything. They know everywhere. They don't use Google Maps. They don't use anything. Usually a black cab, you take a Uber. The last time I went, my wife and I, we took Ubers and we had some other sort of rides and all that. But those black cab guys know everywhere. It was later realized that they have a special test called the knowledge test, which is not just a regular driving test. All right. And this test, it takes an average of the minimum time it would take to complete the test is 9 months, but there are people who take up more than 10 years to complete the test. So a research was done on some of these people who were completing the knowledge test. And what they found was that this was in 2011, they did a research on 79 London taxi drivers, 79 of them who were about to start training. All right. And so they scanned their brains and did a lot of, tests on them. And what they found was that after the test, after they went through the, whole process of learning and everything, and they did the test, they found a significant increase in the size of their hippocampus, in the capacity of their memory, significantly after than before. What that tells you, what that research showed, was that the memory capacity can actually be improved by intense effort. because these guys, this was their work. This was what they were going to do. Okay, some of them were old, some of them were migrants who have gone through a lot of stuff. Some of them were changing jobs. Some of them maybe were office workers before, but they've now decided to change their jobs to work now as taxi drivers or cab drivers. What research shows is that anytime you put intense effort into learning a new skill, you actually expand your capacity, you stretch the capacity of your memory to develop those new skills. So your brain actually changes. And that's where I'm, really focusing on in terms of, I remember I gave you three things: environment, experiences, effort. I'm just giving you examples now. Intense effort. So if you're going to stretch your brain's capacity, stretch your mind's capacity to do what you want to do as a leader for self-government and for impact and significance, you have to put intense effort. That's just the reality. Okay, you've got to put in effort. Really, really, really important. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Now, another result, I'll give you another study that, I read about. This is the study for first-time fathers. What they found, a research was done into first-time fathers. And what they realized is that the hormonal profile of a father, of a man who just becomes a father, is sort of skewed. All right. Yeah, thanks. Is slightly skewed. So that first-time fathers tend to have very high levels of testosterone. Now we know the testosterone is the hormone that, helps to increase sexual drive and all that. Okay. But once the man becomes a father and they start to hold their kids and they start to bond with their kids, all right, they start to produce a different type of hormone called oxytocin, which is a hormone that promotes bonding. It's a hormone that promotes bonding. And the reality is what the reality is that once you have much more oxytocin, it improves attachment and bonding, and it comes with contact. So fathers that were having contact, all right, with their kids were actually producing more oxytocin, and they were actually having more, empathy, more, the attachment was stronger. All right, stronger. Okay, so the emotions also play a huge part here. Your emotions also play a huge part here in terms of neuroplasticity. And I'm going to talk about that very briefly. Let me just jump over from that, and I'm going to come back to that. Now, the final experiment I'm going to talk about is what is called a counterclockwise experiment. I'm just giving these examples just to show you what really happens. A counterclockwise experiment. So what they did, this was done in the United States. They got three groups of people in their 80s, okay, from age 81 to 89, three groups. The first group one, they kept them in the house and told them to live as normal for a week, just 1 week. So those in group one, live in a house, live as normal. All right. So if you were in a group home, you stay in a group home. If you're in your own home, you stay in your own home. So group one lived as normal. The second group two, what they asked them to do was to stay in their homes, but they gave them tasks that would help them reminisce about what it was like to live in their 60s for 1 week. So they brought back memories of 20 years ago. So every activity they did for that 1 week would remind them of what life was about 20 years ago. Yes, thank you, Oluwatos, in counterclockwise experiment. I'm not sure whether you read about that too. All right. So group one, remember, these are three groups of 80-year-olds. Group one lived like as normal. Group two were given tasks that would help them reminisce, reflect, recall their experiences about 20 years ago, like, in their 60s. And the third group three, what they actually asked them to do was what they did for them. Very interesting was that they took them to retrofitted homes that looked like their homes 20 years ago. So they did not just ask them to reflect on the past or reflect on what had happened before. They actually retrofitted their homes. They recreated their, like a place where they were living 20 years ago. So you just brought back memories for them, And if you were not using a walking stick 20 years ago, the walking stick was taken away. Are you guys listening to me? So those that were not using glasses, their glasses were taken away. Those that were not using walking aids, those that were not, whatever it was that you were not using before was taken away. All right. So they took away all of those things. In fact, it was interesting that this for group 3, they took them to the homes and did not even help them carry their baggage to their rooms. They just left them in front of the home. Guess what? At the end of 1 week, when they came back to review all of these people, the 80-year-olds in group 3 showed significant improvements in their visual acuity and in their musculoskeletal condition. What that meant was that by taking them back to the homes they were living 20 years earlier, and by taking away all the conveniences, the walking sticks and all that, just being in that environment stimulated their brains and stretched their capacity. And that when they came back after, their musculoskeletal fitness, by going up the steps, back and forth, by walking more, by just finding a way to not lean and depend on a walking stick, they had actually improved. Interestingly, group 2, the people in group 2 also improved. The people, you remember group 2, they were in their usual homes, but they asked them to reminisce. They brought memories back. They also showed improvement compared to group 1. So that tells us about the brain's and the mind's ability to adapt to the environment. That's what it shows us. It tells us about the brain's and the mind's ability to adapt to the environment. And what I'm telling you is certainly proven. As you probably would know, I'm a scientist, okay? And there's a convergence usually between faith and science, all right? So very, very, very important. The final thing I'm going to share with you before I move on, what's the time? Oh gosh, time is not on my side. Is this what we call the mirror test? Mirror test. I'm still talking about neuroplasticity, and all of these things talk about how you can stretch your mind, how you can enhance your brain's capacity, your mind's capacity. I'm going to share my screen, and I just hope you guys would appreciate this. Okay, so I hope you guys can see my screen. Are you seeing screen 3? Screen 3. Can you see this picture with a man looking at the mirror?
Yes, we can, sir.
So this is what we often use in stroke rehabilitation. I'm a stroke physician. I look after a lot of stroke patients. Okay. So this is one of the ways we help people to undergo rehabilitation to improve their strength. All right. Rehabilitation. This is what we do. Okay. So this man, for example, has had a stroke and is paralyzed in his left hand. So the left hand isn't working properly. So this is a mirror technique. For those who are physiotherapists here or who are involved in rehabilitation, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So what this man has been asked to do is the good hand, which is his right hand, is holding a ball in that right hand, and he's been asked to squeeze the ball, squeeze the ball, squeeze the ball, squeeze the ball, squeeze the ball. Now, when he looks into the mirror, what hand will he see? Will he still see the right or the left? Somebody tell me.
Left. The right.
Still the right. The right.
The right.
The right
Yes.
hand.
This is a mirror.
Right,
It's not a transparent glass. Okay. So because it's
Yeah.
a mirror, what you will be seeing is the right, but it creates an illusion in his mind that he's seeing the left. And by doing that over and over and over, by repeating it, all right, over and over and over again, you actually start to fire the neurons that go into that left hand. All right. Start to fire the neurons that go into that left hand. And before long, that left hand will start to move. That left hand will start to move. That left hand will start to move. This is one of the rehabilitation techniques. And you see the 3 things I wrote there. The kind of effort, when I talk about intense effort that yields results. Some of you say, oh yeah, I've been trying again. I want to start this business. I want to start this new thing. I want to start this coaching course. I want to start this. If you want to be good at something and yield results with it, all right, number 1, practice, 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 practice. So when your effort is directed towards practicing that skill, practicing, you want to be an expert in an area, read all the books on that subject. Go for meetings, learn from people, repeat it, repetition, 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 repetition. Repeat it over and over and over and over again. And then let that effort be goal directed. Don't just, I see people just say, I want to learn French. Why do you want to learn French? I want to learn French. It'll be cool. There is no goal. There's no motivation. There's nothing. Do you understand? It's different from, oh, I want to become a coach. Why? Because I want to have a coaching business. Why? Because I want to change my line of work. Or maybe I want to learn an instrument. Why? Because I want to have a band. Even if it's even if it's not a paid band, if it's volunteering or if it's part-time, maybe just do weekend gigs, maybe at parties or with my friends. I can hang out and we can just play the saxophone. All right. A goal-directed effort. Don't just be shadow boxing, like Paul was saying in the Bible, like, I'm not like those that just beat the air. No, don't be shadow boxing. So I see people who just take up something. Oh, yeah, I'm going to read 10 books because everybody says they are reading 10 books. Why must you read 10 books? Let me tell you, I can't remember the last time I finished a book. Why? Why must I read a book and finish a book? The book must read me. When I pick up a book, it is the author's job to engage me. I only read books to feel a need. Did you get what I'm saying? I read a book to feel a need. Oh, yeah, so that I can say that, I've read 30 books today. Who sent you a message? Or who are you trying to impress? Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't have to. What's the point in doing that? Whatever book you're reading, whatever you're doing, let it be attached to a goal. What do I want to get out of this? I want to grow in this particular area of my life. I want to grow in my marriage. Okay, in my relationship. Okay, so I get a book, or I go for, I enroll in a course, or I do something. I get a workbook. Whatever it is that you're doing, okay, let it be directed towards a goal. So if you want to yield results, okay, if you want to get results, okay, whatever, it's not enough to put in effort. It's not enough to work hard. It's not even enough to work smart. All right, every effort, let it, revolve around this. If you want to be an expert in whatever you're doing, practice. I was lecturing medical students on Thursday. On Thursday, I had a lecture with some of the medical students, first-year medical students, okay? And in our university in the first year, we already exposed them to clinical cases, okay? We don't wait for the second or third year like other schools do. So I was teaching them how to examine the wrist, the arm of a patient, all right? Now, these are first-year newbies. There were 2 second years there, but most of them were first year, all right? And of course, what I told them over and over again was that they have to practice and practice and practice and practice on normal people. You have to practice and practice and practice. Practice and practice and practice. When you practice over and over again, I was the shy type. Let me be honest with you. Let me give you a disclosure here. My background, I was very, very shy as a person. I was not the kind of person that would stand up in the crowd or talk, or even stand before 84 people now and speak. Like, this is not me. Do you understand? But I remember that when I was in medical school, first year medical school, anatomy, I was the chief dissector. I was one of the dissectors in our group. And I remember that, I would just like to go to I used to just daydream. I used to daydream a lot. And sometimes I still do. I still daydream sometimes, not too much. I used to daydream. I just imagine myself. So some of you have heard me before. One of the ones I really enjoy is daydreaming that I was JJ Okocha. I'm not sure whether most of you know JJ Okocha. JJ Okocha used to be a footballer, a Nigerian footballer. And I used to imagine I was his younger brother those days because I liked the guy. And I could be there for 2-3 hours just building castles that I'm related to this guy. And I'll be there and I'll be laughing. Like I'll even be cracking joke, having conversation with somebody that doesn't even know me. So I used to, it's very funny. I think it's not for me here.
Oh my God.
Okay. Somebody's telling me to round up. My yoga. All right. So, as I was saying, guys, what was I saying now? She's made me forget what I wanted to say. Yeah. So I'll just imagining myself speaking to my classmates, teaching them anatomy and we have a big cadaver right in front of us that we've dissected, and so we say we move stuff. So I'll bring out maybe the heart, and I'll just be talking about the part of the heart, and I'll be moving stuff, and they'll be like, the way they like, I'll be very impressed. And of course, all the pretty girls in class, they what I mean. They'll come, even if they don't, because I was deeper, they'll still they'll show respect and wave and smile and all those kind of things, and just makes you feel like you feel special. But man, I was just so shy. So you know what I did every time? You know what I did? Before going to the dissection lab, I would stay in front of a full-length mirror in my room, and I will rehearse everything. I will practice every nerve, suprascapular nerve, and I'll practice brachial plexus. The nerve goes from here to here, goes into this muscle. I will do it over and over and over and over again. They never knew. And if you're my classmate, now you know. If you're here and you're my classmate, you now know. That was what I did. Do you know what? I had a distinction in neuroanatomy. In fact, that was when I knew I was going to be a neurologist, right? Because I opened up the skull of this young guy and I brought out his brain. And sorry that sounds gory, but that was just a reality. And so when I get to the lab, my station was like stadium, because I have done it over and over again. And people just, this guy is smart, this guy. No, it wasn't just that I was smart. I tried. When they were playing soccer, when they were playing around, when they were doing other things, I was in my room locked up. Because why? There was a goal. My goal at the time, to be honest, was that I wanted to be like, because I was just from a very poor family. I only had 1 or 2 shirts. All those girls now, King's College Medical School, you see them now, their parents would drop them with all these cars, and some of my classmates had car, every holiday they're in England, and they would come back with new sets of designer wear. And I just wanted to feel, so there was a goal there. I wanted to also impress. So I stood there and I would just start speaking. And I started speaking and teaching anatomy. And you know what? I remember one Saturday, I spoke, everywhere was full. All people left their groups because they were like, oh, knees moving stuff. The whole place was full. And I just stayed there and I just kept teaching and teaching and teaching. It was a Saturday morning. And after I finished, man, I was like, everybody was so impressed. They were so happy. Then I went to the Booker, Booker is a small restaurant on campus. I went there to buy, I didn't have breakfast. That was my lunch. 2 wraps of eba. Eba is like yellow gari, kind of, that kind of yellow gari. I'm so sorry. I've Nigerianized this talk. So far, my friends from the Solomon, from the Pacific, my Fijian friends, my PNG friends. I know some of you are here. Papua New Guinea. I apologize. I hope you guys eat cassava where you're from. But this is like cassava, whatever. How do I even describe gari now? Like, it will be so hard and with soup and no meat. It will be so hard with soup, no meat. No meat. A medical school. If one day I'd finished eating before I realized I didn't wash my hands, I was so hungry. The same hand that I used to use, formalin infested organ. I went, God kept me. It was after I had taken about 3 or 4 mousses. I remember, I said, God bless this food. I will not die in Jesus' name. All right. But there was nothing at the time, but you guess what? Yeah, Atira Basil, I see you. I acknowledge you. Okay. Now, but you get the point. My point there is that there was just this desire there was a goal that I had, and I put in effort. I practiced, I repeated it over and over again. I applied myself. So please don't waste your energy. Find once you know what you've been called to do, once you know what you want to do, don't encumber yourself. Practice it, repeat it over and over again, and let it be directed towards a goal, and you'll be able to achieve outstanding success. You'll be able to achieve outstanding success. So let me just put it this way to you. If you want to perfect a skill, the best way to perfect a skill is with practice. And I know you've heard that before, but let me tell you, there's a neuroscientific mechanism behind this, and it's called myelination. Okay, so the nerves in the brain, okay, they are surrounded with a coat of myelin, a coat, which is an insulation that makes the nerve conduct faster. Not all the nerves in the brain are like that. But when you practice over and over again, even if it's a skill you already have. For example, let's imagine you know how to type. You know how to type. If you keep typing over and over and over again, and you improve your typing skills, and you work on your typing skills, and you keep practicing over and over again, what you're doing is that you are myelinating all those fibers. You are strengthening those connections in your brain. And by doing that, you become good at it. Somebody will say this is not rocket science. Well, yeah, practice makes perfect. That's true. But the reality is that a lot of us are not willing to pay the price and be consistent enough in practice. So if you want to become an expert at something or to habituate it, you've got to focus on that. Practice, practice, practice. So for example, if you know how to speak Spanish, you know a third language and you want to get better at it, what do? Practice, practice. And how do you practice? You find yourself in the right environment. Find yourself in the right environment. Now, so that's it. So the mechanism by which you improve an already acquired skill to become an expert is with myelination. I'll repeat that again. If you already have a skill, you already speak Spanish, but you want to become a Spanish newscaster, all right, then it's with practice. So practice helps you to improve an already acquired skill and takes you to that expert level. And of course, if it's something that is a naturally born talent already, then you can actually even take it to the genius level. So you're not just an expert, you're going to become a genius because that's already naturally inborn in you. Okay. So now, if you're going to develop a new skill, all right, if you're going to develop a brand new skill that you do not have, then you need to form new brain cells. Your brain will have to form new brain cells, what we call neurogenesis. All right. And the way that would come would be a combination of all these things. It will start with a goal-directed focus, a goal-directed, effort. Okay, goal-directed effort with practice and repetition. All right, goal-directed effort with practice and repetition. And if you're going to enhance that process, all right, I'm going to tell you 3 things that would help you enhance that process properly. Number 1 is a new experience, new experiences. New experiences help to enhance neurogenesis or neuroplasticity. When you expose yourself to new information, you actually stretch your mind. Expose yourself to new things, have new challenges is what that means. Okay. So if you're already doing something and you're really good at it, stretch yourself a little bit more. Okay, in what other area can I do this? I'm not saying you should become jack of all trades and you're everywhere. There are some people like that. Today they are this, tomorrow they are that. No. All right. Even in your own line, whatever you've been called to do, whatever you find yourself doing, you can actually stretch yourself a little bit more to say, okay, what more can I explore? What more can I explore? All right. Never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. All right. Just with, okay, just that lower state. No, find a way. New experiences help to develop the brain more. Novelty. Our brain thrives on novelty, new experiences. You know how you get new experiences? You meet new people. New people. Some of you, the same friends that you've had for 20 years are the same people that you still have now. And you're asking for prayer all over the place. Meet new people. Don't you know that it's by meeting new people that you get new experiences? Meet new people. Don't be shy to approach people. Don't be shy to meet new people. Listen to new people, other people. It's the same person you're listening to, following and everything. Listen to other people. Read other books. Get other people's opinions. New experiences are very important. I'm not saying you should dump your husband or wife and say, well, they've told us to meet new people. No, that's not what I'm talking about. All right. New experiences stretch the mind. Meet new people, meet new friends, engage with other people. All right. Don't let your life, if I ask you now, and this happened to me really, and I think I've said it before, that I was going to have an event and I struggled to count 10 non-Nigerians, and I've lived in this country for over a decade. I could not count 10 non-Nigerians that were not that I could say are my genuine friends. And I'm not talking about work colleagues that are work colleagues. Okay, people that I hang out with, people that you meet new people. How do you meet new people? You have to be outgoing. And I'm not saying you should be out there, all out there. It could be online, it could be in the virtual space, it could be in meetings like this. Engage with people. Engage. I try as much as possible to engage. I know, for example, I just had a conference legacy and so many emails and so many messages, and I know I can't reply, but there's some that I reply to. Some people that I get engaged, we just have that engagement and it just goes on and on from there. You never know. You never know. So that's the way life is. Wendy Burns, I'm not sure how many of you were in legacy. All right. Wendy Burns. All right. I met Wendy Burns on a call when I joined the John Maxwell team. It was just a call. She handles a 2 p.m. call in Sydney every day, every Monday. All right. And she's been doing it for years. So I just joined the call and I introduced myself and then we talked. All right. And then I went to search for her online and I saw her online and then I sent her an email. I said, Wendy, can I have a chat with you? All right. And before you know it, she became my wife's coach. And then she became our family coach, our life coach. And the first session I had with her, the first few sessions we had was talking about my fatherhood, being a father to my son and how I could be a better father. And she gave me tasks. She demanded a father-son date from me. So every fortnight I had to take my then 9-year-old son on a date. All right. And I'll come back to her and she will hold me accountable. And okay, what did you talk about? And is he getting more confident? And what are his needs? How can I be? Because my desire was, how can I become a better father? Okay. And that was what I wanted. And I knew that that was what my son wanted. And I didn't have my father was a great man, but my father wasn't a model example for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? But see where it started. It started from me attending a program like this where she was speaking, where there were hundreds of people all over the world. I remember on that call, there were people from Venezuela, South Africa, and all of that. And when I said I was from Sydney, and she was in Brisbane those days, and then I sent her an email and she replied me, and then we became, and then, look at us, we're doing a conference together, and now we're very good friends. All right, new people. I only met her, September last year. She's new, but now she's like family. If I tell you how many the blessings she's brought into my life, even my family, she's our life coach, my wife and I, she will sit us down together and we will talk, and she's not like a part of our family, a big blessing to us. But I only met her some months ago. Meet new people. Some of you still that old pastor, when he baptized you when you were age of 5, he's still the one giving you marriage counseling now. He still the one giving my. I'm not saying you should leave. I'm not saying you should leave your people. That's not what I'm saying. Now, don't quote me. I'm not saying you should leave your people. No, I'm just saying meet new people. You know what I'm talking about. Let me leave there. Okay.
Yes.
When you meet new people, you get newer experiences. And of course, and if you're a Christian here, you get the leading. You know what I'm talking about. You get the leading. Don't be narrow. Gosh, let's just move on from there. The other thing that will enhance emotionally intense experiences. Emotionally intense experiences are very, very powerful. All right. And so when emotions are involved in any experience that you have, they stick. They stick. So I'm not saying you should become an emotional yo-yo. I'm not saying that everything should go like, oh yeah, no. But what I'm saying is that you need to have a sense of attachment to whatever goal you have, whatever. So if you want to develop something new, let it be passionate about it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Be passionate about it. Be passionate about it. When God gives you a vision, when God gives you a dream, it may be bigger than you. That dream may be bigger than you. Do you understand what I'm saying? But even if it's bigger than you, be passionate about it. Don't be lifeless and listless and mechanical in your approach to whatever you're doing. Whatever your hands find to do, do it well. Be passionate about what you're doing, whether it's in your place of work, whether it's in ministry, whether it's in your social enterprise, whatever it is you're doing that is making a difference. Just make sure that there's passion oozing from you. Sometimes people will see that passion and they will support you. They will join you. But if you're not passionate about it, you're not intentional, you're not deliberate, you're not putting in your energy, your effort, it would not work. Okay. All right. Finally, I'll just say this. How do you create sustainable behavioral change in the brain? Now, you want to change your behavior. All of this is linked to neuroplasticity. Remember, that's the underlying heading. It's tough for me here. Tough for me. About 15 minutes ago, you told me it was time. So I know I'm over the time now. So guys, can I just say this last bit and then I finish? Do I have your permission? So Tofumi,
Yes,
sorry, everybody said I can go on.
please.
So please,
Can we just say please, Tofumi?
please,
Please,
Madam
Tofumi.
Tofumi.
All right, okay, yes, she was here.
Go ahead.
Talk to me, please.
All right, okay. So she will not shut us down there. Good. So at least this way now, when we finish, because I know after the call, she will tell me, oh, you didn't do that. Now it's not my fault. Everybody wants to enjoy it. All righty. Okay, now guys, you can mute your mic back now.
Oh.
So how do you create sustainable change in the brain? Okay, I'm going to give you 4 quick things. Number 1, raised awareness. Number 2, focused attention. Number 3, deliberate action. Number 4, accountability. If you want to, I see people, oh, okay, I want to do this. I also have my own goals, all right, that I want to do. Like I want to lose weight. I want to lose 10 kilograms, okay? Or I want to start a new project, or I want to learn a new skill. I want to write a book, whatever it is you want to do. And if you want to be sustainable, you want it to be sustainable and you want it to really flourish and you want to be an expert in it, all right, then I'll strongly recommend that you do the following things, okay? I recommend that you do the following things. Raised awareness, focused attention, deliberate action, accountability. Raised awareness, focused attention, deliberate practice or deliberate action, and accountability. Okay, so I'll quickly go through that now. So number 1, raised awareness. Raised awareness speaks to the ability to bring up non-conscious thoughts to the conscious, things that you're not aware of, bringing it to the conscious. Okay, and often, let me put it this way: things that you do that come from that raised awareness, from that sense of knowing, they are the ones that last. So for example, if you just know that, yes, I know that I'm meant to do this, I am meant to focus on orphans, I have that feeling, for some of us who are in the Christian fold, we call it knowing our purpose. All right, even if you're not a Christian, you know your purpose. It comes to your awareness. There's a knowing, there's a revelation of what you should be doing. You just know it. You know that you should be counseling or helping vulnerable women. You just know it, you feel it, it's there deep within you. You know that you should be helping teenagers, those teenagers that are struggling, maybe difficult kids, foster kids, or maybe you've been sent to drug addicts, or you've been sent to old people who are facing retirement and they're uncertain, or you've been sent to sick people, or you are raising funds for whatever, or you are in the social space, or in dealing with climate change, or you're in politics, whatever it is. There's a consciousness, there's an awareness, there's a knowing that happens. Once that knowing happens, once you start to know what it is, it comes from the non-conscious to the conscious. And that's that you need a change. That's all. Let me tell you, you cannot have a sustained behavior change or a sustainable behavior change if it does not start from raised awareness. No behavioral change can be sustainable if it's not preceded by raised awareness. All right. And as I said, for some people, it's when you know your purpose, you just know this is what I should be doing. This is what I was born to do. It stirs up something on the inside of you. You know it. Your eyes are open to it. You see it. You feel it. You breathe it. You can't push it away. It's just there. It's palpable. It's strong. All right. That's it. You bring it from the non-conscious state to the conscious state, and it's there. It's real to you. It's as real as your very skin, your very breath. Raised awareness. Very important. So you got to dig deep. And that's why you got to be, if you're struggling with something and you're trying to do something over and over again, maybe it's because you have not dug deep enough. The moment, and you know what, a lot of people, if you were at Legacy, for example, you would have heard about Nick when he said he sprained his ankle. Was it 10? For me, was it 10 or was it when he was 13? When he said he sprained his ankle, he could not go walk on those his little feet. He had this tiny little feet. He could not walk for 3 weeks or so. And he laid on his bed. He was broken. He wanted to end his life. He wanted to kill himself. Many a times, that moment when that awareness comes is when you're at the lowest of your lows. Sometimes it's when you are just there and some of you are here and you don't have clarity about what you should be doing. You don't know. You're just like, it in your heart that you need to be doing something. You want to be relevant. You want to be significant, but you don't know in what area. You don't have clarity about what you should be doing. Who am I sent to? Who is there? Who will listen to me? Who will And maybe it's because you're looking down on yourself. Maybe it's because you just feel that you don't have a message, but you do have a message. You do have a message. And if there's anything I want you to take out from today, is that you got to find your reason. You got to find your why. You got to find your purpose. And this is not, I'm not a purpose person, so I'm not going to be focusing on that. But I just want you to know there has to be a purpose behind that behavioral change, behind that new idea, behind that new project, behind that new new thing you want to pick up. There has to be, yes. Tosin says clarity. Yes, clarity. You've got to be clear. All right. Raise the awareness. You got to dig deep and find your why. And then bring it up, let it come, it will come up to you. When you find it, it will come up to you because it will consume you. You'll be interested. Even if you're doing a 9 to 5 that is completely different from your why, you would still find time for your why. You will still reflect on your why. You'll still be thinking about your why. You'll still be looking at the why. You'll be aware of your why. You raise the awareness. You'll be aware of your why. You'll be aware of what you should be doing. It's going to be there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, focused attention. Focused attention. Once you're aware of what you should be doing, all right, I don't know. Once you're aware of what you should be doing, so Tosin Adeson, I can see your picture, like a nice pink tie. Let's say Tosin is sent to disabled kids. All right, kids, let's say kids with Down syndrome and some of these other syndromes, and it's just got a heart for them. He may know somebody personally that has disability, and it's just been bugging him, but he's not sure why he always feels that way. But now he's getting more and more clarity that he's been sent to help those people and help their families. Maybe he's not even sent to them. Maybe he's been sent to help their families, to provide relief for families that have disabled kids. Maybe to raise funds for them so they can go on a holiday. There are mothers who have disabled kids that have never been out of their countries. They've never been on a holiday. They don't know what it means to take a break and let somebody, take care of their kids for them, and they can just go and have a wonderful time. And that may be your assignment, all of you. So, some people think this is when you have a podium like this and have a platform like this. No. Must everybody hold a mic? Do you know the kind of difference you can make if you're in that space? Just helping vulnerable people, listening to people, supporting them, and just making a difference in their lives. Saying, Mama, Papa, go on a trip. We'll pay for your trip. Go on a weekend. We'll look after your kid. Don't worry. You don't have to worry. And you start the NGO. You start raising funds. You start a fund. You start talking to people. You start with your own resources. Do you understand? Now you are aware of what you should be doing. Now your attention is on it. Well, how am I going to finance this? But you have to keep your 9 to 5, bro. So you can't leave your job. So you I don't know what job you are, but with your pink thigh, I think maybe you are. No, bankers don't use pink thighs. So you're not going to be a banker. You probably be an HR person, or maybe let's just call you an IT professional. So you have an IT job. Oh, it's insurance. Okay, so those things in insurance, you're selling insurance, or I'm not sure whether you're an underwriter or whatever you do in insurance. All right. But you got to keep that job, because you know what, on the weekends, you're doing fundraisers, you're doing barbecues, you're going to homes, you're trying to even set up maybe a disability home where people can, just for respite, bring your kids for 2-3 days, and then you can go away, we'll look after your kid, you come back, we'll take your kid, and you're trying to do, but you have to finance it. So your attention is on it. So you realize that if you're married, you talk to your wife about that. You start saving some money, putting it towards that. You start attending programs about that. You start, before you know, you start researching on the UN, United Nations, all the SDGs and all the different places. You're looking for other NGOs that support disabled kids. You're joining, different community groups. You're going overseas, attending conferences, connecting with community people. You see that you're beginning to. I'm not going to be seeing Tosin. If that's your goal, Tosin, you will not be in a parenting class. I will not see you in another person is doing a speaking coaching masterclass and you are there. Another person is doing purpose something and you are there. And somebody is doing a music something and you are there. No, your attention is focused. You become focused on that thing because there's awareness. All right. And even though you may be doing different things and you may have your own downtime where you relax, chill, learn, enjoy life and everything, but you understand what I'm saying, Tosin? You get my point. So you are beginning to, focus your energies in that direction. Focused attention. Let me tell you something, and I think Kunle Shorian said this. Attention is the most in-demand commodity, and it will be in the next 20, 30 years. Everybody's vying for your attention. Every brand is vying for your attention. Everybody, Apple just bought the new iPhone 13. Do you know how many emails I've received about pre-ordering iPhone 13? I have an iPhone 12 here that I just bought iPhone 12 I don't know, maybe less than a year ago, just about a year ago. Now they've brought out iPhone 13 and I've already received about 4 or 5 emails. Everybody's vying for your attention because our attention is the most significant part of our cognition that directs our focus. Your attention directs your focus. Your attention directs your activities. Your attention directs your life. So what you turn your attention to directs everything. So you must find a way to channel your attention to what you have become aware of. You need to find a way to channel your attention and direct the focus of your attention to that thing that God has called you for. You can't be everywhere. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong about being multi-talented. You can be multi-talented. That's not what I'm talking about. But even if you're multi-talented, there will still be a dominant gift there. And that has to take priority. That has to take priority. You make hair, you cook food, you bake cake, you go to work 9 to 5. You still meat pie at work. And then evangelism, you are there. And then we see you on YouTube, all these prayer meetings. Prayer meetings are good on YouTube. Somebody sent me a link. I saw 50,000 people praying in the morning. I said, God, 50,000 people praying. People are praying. If God is, well, let me not talk too much. All right. And I joined them 50,000. But when they sent the next time, I said, no. I said, come to Legacy. She sent me. I said, have you registered for Legacy? You have no. I said, okay, so prayer. Is it prayer? You better come to Legacy and hear the truth too. It's not just all prayer. Prayer is good. But imagine you're doing all of these things. How can you really, So that balance is really essential. That balance is really, really, really essential and very important. And then the next one is deliberate action, deliberate practice. It goes back to what I said earlier: practice, repetition, intense effort. That's it. Deliberate. You're intentional. So you're taking steps. All right? You're taking steps. Attention is about your cognition. You don't have to speak everywhere. You don't have to take every invitation. You don't have to be on the cover of every flyer. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to go to every meeting. You don't have to. You don't have to say yes to everybody. There's nothing wrong about saying no. In fact, one of the things you must learn as a leader is to say no. Did you hear what I said? Saying no is a skill. It will save your life. It will save your dreams. If you don't know how to say no to people, you will miss it. You have to be able to say no. You have to be able to just chill out, set your boundaries, and say, you know what? Not next time. Next time. Do you know? Let me tell you this. Do you know that during Legacy, just at the day after Legacy, I was reached out to come and speak on a very big platform. No. If it is for me, it will come again. I can't be everywhere. I don't have to be. I'm not competing with anybody. I stay in my lane. I do my own thing. If the opportunity comes, good. But you don't have to be. This craziness about being everywhere and doing everything and being loud no. Chill out. And focus your attention on what matters most. But be consistent in your application. All right. And of course, the last thing, accountability. And that's where I'm going to stop. Accountability. Accountability is essential. Self-accountability. You'll be accountable to yourself. And that involves journaling, self-reflection, reviewing things. What am I doing? What should I be doing? What have I done? Am I doing the right things? So if you're here, you don't have a journal, I think you should start it. Journaling is very good. Have a journal. Sit down. You know how to do journaling? Abimbola KG, how are you? Maybe she's not. Maybe she can't speak.
I'm
Hi,
I'm good, sir.
yeah, I just saw your
Very
photo. I just said
excellent.
I'll pick on you. How are you doing? Hey,
Thank you very much. I'm fine, sir.
God bless you. So self-accountability, journaling. How do you journal? Sit down, reflect. The best time to journal when you wake up in the morning or when you're going to bed at night. Just reflect. Write your thoughts down. Write how you see things. Write it down. Keep a journal. It's always good. All right. Journal. You should have a gratitude journal as well. A gratitude journal. It's actually very good before you go to sleep, just to write the things you're grateful for. You know, when you write things down, you're not just thinking it, you're intentional about it. Oh, I'm grateful. Even if you've had a horrible day, if you reflect on how your day has been and you just write down the things, oh gosh, even though it's been a tough day, I'm grateful that I'm still alive. I'm grateful I still have a family. I'm grateful for this. You don't know how powerful that is. Journaling is really helpful. Okay. Having reminders, and there are some other apps you can use. And of course, accountability, you can still, have a partner, a coach, a mentor, somebody to hold you accountable. Very helpful. So those four things I'll end up with. Okay. Awareness, attention, action, accountability. Very, very important. Okay. Very, very, very important. Yeah. So great. I think I'll stop there. Any questions, comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question.
So let's just go one at a time. Who do we start with? Tosin, just raise your hands up and I'll just call you. So Tosin, yes.
Yes, you said something about dominant gifts and how we should focus our attention on it. But when it comes to a point whereby presently your dominant gift isn't earning you much in life, and you have to work with where you are, what do you do about it? But you've recognized your dominant gift, but it's not helping you as when it comes to finance. Oh yeah. So what do you do?
Yesterday I was speaking in another forum about this. I was talking about purpose and career in another forum, and that this also came up. All right. There are times when your career may not be in line with your purpose or even your gifting. Now, you remember that there's a difference between your gift and your purpose. Okay. Your gifts are meant to help you execute or fulfill your purpose. So if, for example, you have a particular gift, let's say your gift is in maybe speaking or singing or music, you've got this particular passion for music and you've got the natural ability for it, the talent is there, the passion is there, the drive is there. All right, but you don't have enough gigs. You maybe you go to the studio, you make one or two albums and it's just not generating enough income. Or maybe yours is just, let's say, maybe not a gift, but maybe a particular skill like organizing, maybe a wedding planner or an MC or a comedian, whatever it is that you feel that I'm really passionate about cooking, I'm passionate about making dresses, but I can't, I've got bills to pay, I've got kids, I've got a mortgage, I've got rent, I've got all of these things, and I can't, yes, I think it's reasonable for you to keep your current job and slowly transition. Very, very important. All right. Now, there are instances when you will move quickly, where, you can move quickly from whatever you're doing, even though it's not your primary passion, but it's paying your bills, and you just resign. And I'm sure you've heard of people like that who will just resign and say, you know what, this is not for me, I'm going to move on and all that. Yes, those exceptions are, but they are exceptions. And oftentimes that would happen generally I would always tell people, if you're a believer, you're a Christian, make sure you have that green light from God, and you have that, sort of reassurance that yes, you should take that bold step to just leave whatever you're doing and God will sustain you. But if you don't get that green light, you don't get that sort of release from your spirit, I would say no. What you can do is, of course, to start slow. You can still keep your regular 9 to 5 that pays the bills, because of course you still have to pay your bills. All right. Even the Bible says that he that cannot look after his family is worse than an infidel. All right. So you don't want to put yourself in a difficult situation, except you have the assurance from God that if you leave that, he's going to sustain you. He will have a way of looking after that. But if you don't have that assurance, keep your 9 to 5, and then your 5 to 9 is where you deploy your time. You start to work on your project, your weekends, and the other times you start just working on your skills and working on your project, getting better at what you do and marketing yourself, working, doing what you have to do. Pretty much that's what should happen. I'll give you an example. My example is not a perfect example in any way, may not sort of fit into your situation. But I was working in another medical practice, and I felt that it was time for me to start my own practice. Of course, what I then needed to do was to find a way to transition. So I didn't just resign from that practice. What I did was to open up my own practice. I was working part-time in that other one, and then I started mine part-time. All right. So I was working like 2 days a week or 2.5 days a week. The other, I think 2 days a week. And then I had 1 or 2 other gigs that I was doing. And then I started my own. But when I started my practice, because in Australia here, specialists, when I mean specialists, I mean consultants, you can't walk into a consultant's office, you can't walk into a specialist clinic, so you got to be referred by another doctor. So my service is mainly a referral service. So another GP or family doctor has to refer patients to me. And we're not allowed to advertise, so I can't advertise directly to patients. I have to wait for doctors. So that means I quickly learned it that my customers are not patients, my customers are other doctors. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some of you, there's a difference between customer and client sometimes. You know what I mean? So, I realize that even though I treat patients, how will I get the patients? I can't go to their homes. I can't go on social media and say, hey, I'm a new neurologist in town. Come and see me if you have a headache, migraine, stroke, epilepsy, blah, blah, blah. I can't do that. I can't advertise. That's against the law in the country. So who do I go to? I go to the GPs. So I will go there with lunch. I will pay for lunch for the GPs. So there's a particular company. I will talk to them. They will bring lunch, and then I will go there. And they will ask me questions. I'll give them my mobile number. I designed this A4 flyer of my profile. I designed my profile. I had business cards. I set up a website. I started Google Ads so that people can find me. And there was a day, it was a cold winter day. I went with my jacket. I had a whole traveling bag full of notepads, referral pads, business cards, and my profile printed. And I would I had all the list of all the GP practices in town in that particular location. I would go knock on the door and I would hand them, just like any other marketer, I want them my stuff. It took a lot of hard work. I shared with them the lowest day of my life in the last 5 years was because my wife and I started pastoring the same month we opened our practice. And on a Sunday, I said this over and over again, you probably will have heard it before. I prepared a message on a Saturday like this for 4 hours. And I prayed and I prepared. I went to church. Church was brand new. Church was like 2 months old. And I went there. We had distributed to all the neighborhood over 2,000 invitation cards for people to come to church. Guess what? How many people came? Less than 7. Nobody turned up. So that day I was so downcast. It was myself, my wife, a few other people that we started the church together, and I just felt so down. And God told me there and then, go to the pulpit and preach to this few as if you're preaching to 1,000. So I went to the pulpit and I did it, and I preached, and I was so, and I did the whole thing. But I just still felt down that, God, And anyway, I didn't show it, but in my mind I was disappointed. And so the Monday I went to work, I had only 3 patients booked. I went with my suit, my briefcase, got to work. First patient did not come. Second patient did not come. Third patient did not come. Wow. I was not on a salary. It's business. If you have a shop, you know what I'm talking about. If somebody walks into your shop, fine. If you don't get any clients, you don't get any money. I am telling you that those 2 days, I felt when I finished, when we waited and waited, and it was obvious the third person wasn't coming, I took my bag and I left. And I told the secretary, okay, you know what, let's just close the shop. We're done for the day. And I was just so down in my heart at the time. But I had to decide, do I close this practice and go back and start working for people? But I realized, do you know that when I left that practice, I left with nothing. I gave them 5 years of my life. I brought hundreds of patients there, but I couldn't live with those patients. So when you join somebody here as a doctor and you work for another person, that person owns the medical records and it's worth millions of dollars. Do you know how much they sold the practice? They sold the practice for close to maybe $7 million. So I realized that, wow, I need to own a business. I need to own my own practice, because you know what? Even if I don't work and I sell now I've got almost 4,000 patients, almost 4,000 patients in 3 years. Thank God I left.
Wow.
Because if I decide not to work today, I know how many millions of dollars my practice is worth. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not just on a salary, because I was getting good salary from there, but salary is not, you know what I'm talking about? That was not what I wanted to own. I wanted to own something, own a business. But when I started the business, my brother, I had to dig deep. Financially, I was hit hard because I had to give it time. All the time I was walking on the road and I was knocking on doors and I was asking for people to take my business card and everything. I could have been seeing patients making money. Do you understand? But I was looking at the long game, that, you know what, but then I still had to pay bills. So I kept a little bit of that and transitioned myself. And it took a while. Somebody said salary is not legacy. Absolutely. I am an entrepreneur. I love business. I love whatever. So I like business, to be honest, I've not earned a salary since 2015. And thank God for that grace. If you're able to have a business, have a business. I'm telling you the truth. If you are able to, even if it's a side business, I love business. All right. But that's something different. This is not a business seminar. But I hope that helps you, Tosin. Okay. Don't compare yourself to Mark Zuckerberg. Don't compare yourself to Bill Gates. Those ones are children of rich people who, when they say they started their company in their garage, you have to go and ask what kind of garage it was. I see people that say, Dad, I'm going to leave university. Okay, leave. My son cannot even tell me that he's going to leave university. Leave university for what? Are you Bill Gates? Am I Bill Gates' father? Am I Mr. Gates? So don't compare yourself to some of those other people, okay? Do whatever you have to do. Slowly transition yourself. But let me tell you, there's nothing as good in life as you being paid for what you're made to do. And you've heard it before. You're not hearing that from, I heard it from some other people. So it's not like my own idea. Your career is what you are paid to do. Your purpose is what you are born to do. There's nothing better in life than for your career and your purpose to merge, for you to be paid to do what you love to do, to be paid to do what you're born to do. So if you feel that naturally you're gifted in this particular area of music, for example, there's nothing as great. Like, look at Sinash. Look at all those guys that are singing and they're making a living out of singing. That's the best kind of job ever, that you enjoy singing and somebody's paying you to, like, there's nothing as great as that, man. Like, for me, I love medicine. I love looking after sick people. And for me to be able to make a living out of that is a great privilege. So I understand the frustration if you're there doing something that, this is not where I should be. Don't be too disheartened. Let the process ride, okay? And slowly transition yourself. Once you have that raised awareness, start to direct the focus of your attention in the right way. That's my mother-in-law. If I take that phone call, this is the end. So let me not take it. I'm telling you, I'm not coming off that phone once I take that phone call, because it's going to be gisting all the way. All right.
Thank you very much.
So that took quite a while. Sorry about, I know it was a very long answer. It's tough for Misty. I'm not even sure. She's just hiding. Anyway, Tofumi, if you are here, let me see you so you can help me with some of these questions. So it just makes it faster, so I don't have to hunt for them. So who is next? Or are there questions? I'm sorry, I've not been checking the chat.
I have a question, sir.
Okay, so quite a number of people have questions. Sorry, just hold on. Let me just see. Oh, okay, Ayo Martins, that's okay. Okay, Ayo, we can talk later today. Okay, just replying to the chat. Somebody said Onyeka Victory. How do you get access to legacy materials? Well, go to my website. It's not free. You have to pay for it. Okay. So you can order for the legacy conference materials there. It's not free, but you can order for it. So, Tofumi, if you're there, you can help me put the link on the Okay, yeah. Now let's go back to the questions now. So those who have, is this? I think there was a Linda. Is it Linda? Somebody raised up their hand earlier on. Is Linda here? Is Linda? Okay, not Linda. Okay, I thought I saw a Linda raise up her hand. Okay, what about Walter? Walter?
Thank you, Dr. Nee. My question is that you talk about finding your why, finding your passion. In today's world, a lot of us, young people, that's where we find a big challenge, really finding that thing or discovering that thing that we are really passionate about. That's our why. I know you have touched it in one or two or three places, but please, what way, practical tips, always can you suggest that will help us in finding our why, finding that thing that we're passionate about?
Well, that's a completely different teaching, to be honest. But I'll just list. I actually had a teaching yesterday, a seminar yesterday, as I said, on purpose and career, and I'll just read out what I told them very quickly. Number one, what is the deepest desire in your heart? If you want to know how to find your why, 7 questions you should ask yourself. What is the deepest desire in your heart? All right. Number 2, what stirs up your passion? That's zeal. What excites you? Number 3, what flows naturally out of you? For example, I'm not the best speaker. Now, English is not my, biggest thing, but I like speaking. Let me tell you, you want me to tell you the truth right now? I'll tell you the truth. I got a pounding headache. I've got a pounding headache. Because you know what? Yesterday, I slept around 3 o'clock. I was on call all night. We had a vigil. All right. So I went to work, did a lot of work stuff. And then we had a vigil. I didn't sleep. We had a vigil. And then I was on call, taking calls from the hospital, slept around 3. I woke up around 7 o'clock because I had to go to the hospital for a ward round. Came back in the morning again. And then I had a little 1-hour nap. But my kids, I was babysitting because my wife wasn't at home. And so I didn't sleep properly. And then I had to watch a match, a rugby league match. And then I'm here. So I'm exhausted, tired, and I've got a pounding headache right now. But do you know that even though I've had a headache, I told my wife 1 hour and it's almost 1 hour, 45 minutes over. You must have heard the door. She's coming to check what's going on. And my son has come in to check. So they're like, Signal, man, it's Saturday, round up. But I can still talk with this headache I have, I can still keep on for another 1 hour. This comes naturally to me. This is I like this. I can be with you guys if you don't mind, if you we'll just keep chatting and talking. It's value. As long as what we're talking about is of value and it's a blessing to you and to me, I'm okay. That's what you should find out. What comes naturally to you? Okay. Where do you bring forth your best fruit or produce your good results? You want to find your why. What do I do that gives the best results? When you cook, oh my God. Or when you do something, you offer service, or when you help people, or when your pastor calls you, or when your leader calls you to do something, you just jump at it. You're the ministry of helps. You find yourself wanting to help people, help other people shine. You don't like the limelight, but you just want other people to thrive. It gives you a lot of satisfaction. Maybe that's your why. Do you know that the guy who helped us handle a lot of the back end stuff for Legacy only contacted me about, we had closed for volunteers. We had over almost 140, 150 volunteers. The guy reached out to me about 6 weeks to Legacy. And I said, I didn't reply because we just had too many people. He reached out to me again. And then that day I was at work. I just said, let me reply. And then he opened his mouth. Once he opened his mouth, I said, you know what? You are the one I'm looking for. You are the one that I'm looking for. And I'm like, God, I thank you that you brought this guy to me. Do you know that I have never met him? He was behind the scenes volunteered himself completely, serving completely. And do you know that even when we're in meetings, he will not put on his camera like most of you. He doesn't want to be seen. He's not interested in being heard. He just wants to serve. And even when I told in the meeting, if you were there, I brought in Tofumi, I brought in Mary, but he would not come on. No, sir. No, I don't want to. No. I just want to serve. That's just one. What is the witness? If you're a Christian, what is the witness of the Spirit of God in your spirit? All right. What witness are you getting in your spirit? For the record, Adebanke Karen, I like this, your photograph. Every time I look at you, I look, this photograph that you've used, it's almost like you're alive. I really like it.
Thank you, sir.
No worries. Hey, what do mature Christians see in you? What do mature Christians see in you? So, Walter, that's the other question you should ask. Your people that are mature around you, what do they see in you? They tell you, they compliment you. Guy, you're good in this. That may be a way. And what career or ministry do you feel the peace of God about pursuing? All right, I'll move on.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Maxwell.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I just want to find out, how do I use neuroplasticity to break bad habits?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, how do you break bad habits? By forming new habits. How do you erase bad memories? By forming new memories. You cannot be in a vacuum. You cannot just say, do you think that you used to smoke or you used to use recreational drugs like heroin or cocaine, or maybe you were addicted to pornography and all those stuff like that? You think it will just come out of your brain? Forgive and forget. You just forgive somebody, or somebody hurt you so deeply, somebody abused you, did horrible things to you, and you forgive, and then they will tell you, your pastor will tell you, forgive and forget. When you're not demented. It's only if you are demented that you will forget. You cannot just forget. But how do you actually get over it? And that's where people have been misled over and over again in the name of religion. They've been misled. How do you get over an addiction? You have to find new behaviors. And it goes back to the things we talked about. Form new behaviors, accountability. Of course, you can't, if you're going to be, breaking free from an addiction, you've got to be accountable. I shared with you openly, you guys, do you know how many emails I received about people struggling with sexual sins and pornography? Just by sharing my own story that I was addicted to pornography at a point in my life. And what did I do? I had that awareness. Most of you have the awareness anyway, because you get the guilty feelings. You know you don't want to be doing it, but you keep doing it over and over again. All right. And then, of course, I set boundaries, accountability, and I started working on some form of therapy. All right. And the therapy is meant to sort of replace the way I see myself. Why do I have to gratify myself in this way? And so sort of replace that, because let me tell you the truth, nothing can give you that dopamine high again. And that's why, for example, if you've been addicted to pornography, you'll keep trying new kinds of pornography. You start from the basic one to crazy stuff, because you're trying to get the same dopamine high. It's the same dopamine high you get in pornography that you get from cocaine. When somebody snorts cocaine, it gives you a high. That high is very hard to replicate. That high will not be replicated by reading the Bible. That high is hard to replicate. So the only way to do that will be to form new networks, form new relationships, neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, new behaviors, new things. Start it, and you'll be consistent with it. And you have to be ready. In fact, if you're not ready, if you have not reached rock bottom, I don't even engage with people who are not ready, because the reality is that a lot of people just have guilt feelings. Oh, Pastor, help, but they are not ready. They are not ready. Because you will start a journey with them, they'll go back. They are not ready. When they are ready, when you are broken and you're like, no, I am done, then you'll be ready. Okay, let me move on. Who's next? Anifat. Sorry, before Anifat, before you come on, I'll probably just take one more question after that. Okay, Anifat, and I'll take James, and that'll be it. Okay, just in the interest of time. Anuluapo wants my email. It's info@niborire.com, info@niborire, or admin@niborire.com. Let me just see. I think I've just missed an email. Tofumi, stop sending me text messages. Come online. I need to see you. I need to hear you. Hey, Tofumi, please, where are you? Help me with these questions.
I think we're the last question, sir.
All right. Thanks for coming on. I think I'm just looking at the chat. Yeah, so Tosi and Anifowoshe, 7 questions to help you discover your why. Oh, okay, they were just listening. Okay, yeah, good. So let's go to Anifat now. So I'll just take these 2, okay, Anifat and James.
Good morning, sir.
Hi,
Thank
well,
you
it's
so much.
evening here, but good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the enlightenment.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. So my question is, what if you have a passion for speaking, inspiring people, like you just love speaking, public speaking before, but you just find yourself not having passion for it anymore. The drive isn't there again. It just, the vibe of speaking is not more there. And you suffer from depression and other mental illnesses, but you just discover that, oh, I don't just feel this thing anymore. What do you do? Thank you, sir.
Well, Anifat, I'm not sure whether that's you or whether that is hypothetical, but I think if you
It's
start
me,
to
sir.
lose, it's you. Okay, I'm sorry that you're going through all of this, but what I would say is that if you're really passionate about, if that's your why, if speaking and helping people is your why, and you start to lose interest in it, you just give the answer. One of the key symptoms of depression is anhedonia. I'll spell that: anhedonia, Anhedonia. Anhedonia. Anhedonia is a loss of interest in things that excite people, in hobbies. So when somebody is depressed, they start to lose interest in the things that get them excited. Hobbies, tasks, places that they go. If they usually go on holiday, they will just be withdrawn. There's this social withdrawal that happens. And if you have if you've got dominant symptoms such as guilt feelings and feeling of hopelessness with the depression, it's even worse. So I think you need healing. I think you need therapy. I think you need support before you start to hit yourself so hard that you're walking away from your passion, you're walking away from your love. That's just the truth. So if I were you, my focus would be on healing first and getting myself right and getting help, whether it's medical help, whether it's spiritual help, whatever help you can get to put yourself in the right mental space. I think that would be my strong advice for you. All right. A wounded soldier is a nuisance. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how blessed you are. Your significance cannot be profound or deep or robust if you're wounded and injured. You'll just be hurting yourself more. So if you're suffering from depression, anxiety, if you're stressed, if your life is not together and you're trying to go out there and help other people get better, it's like that scripture. I'm sorry, and in fact, I'm not sure that you're a Christian, but I'll share it anyway. That scripture, I think in Songs of Solomon, that don't look at me that my skin is black. I've left my vineyard, I've not cared, but I'm keeping other people's vineyards. You'll be like that person who, tend to other people's vineyards, but you neglect your own health. And depression is real. Depression is absolutely real. Depression doesn't mean that you're a sinner. Depression doesn't mean you're a bad person. Depression doesn't mean that it's your fault, that you have done something wrong. It just happens. It's just like any other illness. And if you have, like I have a headache now, even though it's not a chronic illness, I know if I sleep and I have a good rest, I will wake up tomorrow morning refreshed. Hopefully the headache will be gone. All right. But I can't just ignore it and say, okay, you know what, I will. No, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're a footballer, if a footballer is injured and they are having, like Cristiano Ronaldo now, even though I don't like his team, if he's injured and is limping on the field, you keep him on the field, is it going to be a liability? So if you want to be productive, get yourself mentally, spiritually, physically well, at least to the best, as much as you can is what I'm saying, okay? As much as you can. And then if you cannot, like Nick Vujicic said, he said, don't wait for a miracle. You be the miracle. If you've done all that you can do and your feelings are still the same and everything, then, help other people see the light. You can still make a difference. God bless you, Anifat, and I wish you the best, and I pray that God will give you peace and tranquility, and it would, whatever pressures you're facing, you get joy, and that it would. And if you know, I'm not sure that you're a Christian. If you're not, I invite you to know Jesus. To be honest, if you are so I'm not saying that Jesus will take away your depression. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it will be a start for you knowing yourself and finding a way out. Because Christians can be depressed, you know, and I know Christians who suffer from depression, and will have to just fight it out. God will give you peace. All right. I think there was one final question. Was there for me? I think they've put their hands down. So
Yeah, they've put their hand down.
wow, what a session. Thank you guys. Thank you for how has it been for you guys? How has it been for you guys? It was supposed to be 1 hour. I just got a text from my wife. I hope I'm not in trouble. Have you finished? So my wife is saying round up. Thank you guys. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I hope you all got value. God bless you guys. I'm going to
Yes, sir.
I will upload this on YouTube, and then I'll send you guys, I'll send to all the mailing list anyway the YouTube link. Okay, Tofumi, please help us do that. Okay, we'll upload this on YouTube. We'll send a YouTube link so you can get, and we'll send a recording of the other one as well. I think I've got a YouTube link of the first session as well. All right, I think we should have one more session, okay? So we're going to have one more session,
Yes.
the last Saturday of the month. So it's going to be the last Saturday of the month in October. What date is that, Tofumi? Last Saturday of the month.
I'll just double check. That's going to be the 30th.
October the 30th. Okay. Did you guys get a calendar invite? How many of you used the calendar invite? Did you find that useful? The calendar invite?
Yes, it was useful. I used it.
Yeah, great, good. The calendar invite is very good because it will, if you add it to your calendar, it will remind you in your own time zone. All right. So we'll send you another calendar invite for your own. So we'll send a calendar invite again for the next session. It's going to be the last Saturday, October 30, 6 p.m. my own time, whatever time you are. I know so many people are from different parts of the world. We can catch up again. God bless you guys. I wish you the very best. And Anifat, please
thank you, sir.
Look after yourself, Anifat, okay? And we wish you all the best, okay? Everybody, please, let's remember Anifat in prayers. God bless you guys. I'll catch up with you later.
Yes, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Doc. Bye.